Ayo, what is groovy? What is good? It's your boy Papa Capes, and we are back with yet another Raid Shadow Legends video. Thank you so much to Raid for sponsoring this video and for hooking us up with our own download link that you can find in the description below. Starting out with that link immediately gets you Tholen Falbeard right off the bat, and as you progress just a little bit, you'll be greeted by Ugo, Tagore, and Mausoleum Mage. Right now is a great time to start because you can use code RAID7 to get Pelops the Victor or code RAV to get Padraig. Additionally, you can also get your hands on Skeletor. Yes, Skeletor has made a return. There's currently an ongoing event where on day 7 of simply logging in to your account, you will get Skeletor. So that is a third legendary that you can then add to the roster. Feel free to spread the word on my link. You can find it in the description below. Using that link directly supports me, directly supports the channel, and we just out here vibing, yo. Today, I'm going to be talking about a couple of champions. And this isn't a guide, this isn't a tier list, this is just my top 5 legendary champions on my account. Not necessarily only because of their kits, not necessarily only because of anything specific, but more so how they've impacted my experience as a player within Raid, how they've impacted my journey since I've started Raid. And we are going to start off right out the bat with my homie Supreme Galek. Yes, he is a void legendary that does some mad burning. His aesthetics looks absolutely amazing. And the biggest reason that he's made my list is because he was the first legendary on my account. So starting out with, I don't recall the exact starter link I had, but I think Elena Roll was actually the first legendary, so I stand corrected. Elena Roll was the first legendary on my account, but we used code Supreme6 to be greeted by Supreme Galek. And just to go over his kit for those of you that don't know, Supreme Galek's A1, Exemplar of Rage, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has an extra 10% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Each hit also has a 40% chance of increasing the duration of any HP burn debuffs on the target by 1 turn. His A2, Bloodshed Tempest, attacks 4 times at random, places 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 3 turns before attacking. Each hit has an extra 10% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Each hit also has a 75% chance of instantly activating any HP burn debuffs on each target and decreasing the duration of those HP burn debuffs by 1 turn. Fills this champion's turn meter by 30% if 3 or more HP burn debuffs are activated during the attack. And then my favorite when it comes to Supreme Galek is his A3, Unreasoning Outburst. Attacks all enemies, has an extra 10% chance of inflicting a critical hit, has a 75% chance of placing an HP burn, and block buffs debuff for 2 turns. He then also places a 30% decreased speed debuff on targets whose turn meter is higher than 50%. He also comes with a passive Laugh at Danger. Whenever this champion receives a Fear, True Fear, Freeze, Provoke, Sleep, Stun, or Petrification debuff, instantly removes it, then fully heals this champion and grants an extra turn. We've got a Cruelty Blessing on him, and he also comes with an aura of 33% attack in all battles for his allies. So that is why he's the first one that I'm going to be speaking of. Not because of crazy meta or anything like that. He was the first legendary on my account that I built. He was the first legendary on my account that was fully booked. He was also the first legendary on my account that was fully mastered. And I guess the reason that was the case was because when I started, he was like the god on my account. He was the most powerful champion on my account for a very long time. He's what got me through campaign. He's what I still use today in 12-3 Brutal, as he's able to finish the campaign consistently with 3 allies as food in 6 seconds. You can see there he's fully booked, he's fully mastered as well. Those are the masteries we do have on him. And just to give an example, something that I learned recently is that animations in terms of running speed contributes to how quickly you can finish like 12-3. So it's crazy to me that he can do it in let's just run it real quick with three food champions. There we go, just to show you that he is my 12-3 campaign farmer, and our best time should be 5 seconds if I'm not mistaken, but he does it consistently anyway towards 6 or 7 seconds, depending on that last wave, if he does his A1 or if he's immediately going back to his A3. Sometimes his A3 has reset and he goes into the 3rd wave with an A3, which means that it's A3, A2, A3, but sometimes it's A3, A2, A1, A3. So there you can see 7 seconds through campaign, best is 5 seconds, and he still adds value to my account. I still use Galek in my arena teams, which you guys know about. I use him in tag team arena. I don't use him in clan boss. I use him throughout Grim Forest whenever he's available, Curse City, Doom Tower. I use Galek everywhere, and it's been just around a year that we've been playing, so he's definitely added tons and tons and tons of value to my account and made my journey so much more enjoyable. The second champion I'm going to be talking about, I think this one's kind of obvious for anybody who was able to get him, but Michelangelo is definitely one of my top 5 favorite champions in my account. Not only because of his outright nuking ability, but just, I mean, I'm slightly older, right? He was part of my childhood. Donatello is my favorite Ninja Turtle, but we weren't able to get Donatello, but we got Mikey. One of the favorite things as well is that he was a free champion that you could get from the Turtles. He is absolutely cracked. We've got him in Thunderbolt Spear. Briefly running over his account because I'm pretty sure everybody knows what Mikey does, but let's not assume. He attacks one enemy twice. If either hit was critical, places a 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns. His A2 Express Delivery, whew, this thing hits hard. Attacks one enemy, before attacking has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff on the target for 2 turns. Has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn, will ignore 25% of the target's resistance if the attack is critical. Then he applies a debuff spread effect, taking all debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. Will ignore 25% of each target's resistance if the initial attack was critical. Then the ultimate nuker. Shell Cyclone attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff bookable to 100% and a leech debuff for 2 turns. Will ignore 25% of each target's resistance if the attack is critical. He then places a taunt on himself for 2 turns. He comes with a passive that also does Party Dude, 15% chance to evade an enemy skill and all of its accompanying effects if this champion is under a taunt buff. The chance to evade increases to 30%. Whenever this champion attacks, any ally, Leonardo, Donnie, Mikey, and Raphael will join that attack if they're on the same team. And then he places a shield buff equal to 300% of this champion's attack on this champion for 1 turn when they receive a hit. He's got an aura that boosts accuracy by 70 in all battles, and I've got him built in Nature's Wrath. He's also fully booked and fully mastered. And obviously why Mikey is one of the top 5 champions in my account. Again, this is in no order, but I'm pretty sure Galek will be my favorite. But he came onto the account and immediately impacted the account. I've spoken about Mikey often, so I'm not going to spend too much time speaking about him. But the fact that you were able to get him for free and get his 5-star soul just allowed for him to add so much value. Again, he's in my arena team. I use Mikey in Clan Boss, if I'm not mistaken. I use him in Tag Team Arena. I use Mikey everywhere. In every bit of content I can use Mikey in, I use him. And obviously, just the fact that he's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle adds even more value to my account. He came in when I needed, I feel, some excitement. And not in terms of the game is boring or anything like that. Just something that made me feel powerful in the game, if that makes sense. And Mikey came in at that time and just granted access to this power that I never thought would be accessible to a player of a free-to-play or a low-spending player like myself. So yeah, Mikey was there. I guess the third legendary champion will be somebody in terms of support, somebody that came in clutch immediately after I struggled with a certain type of content. The day I uploaded a video about said content, I pulled this champion right after and was immediately able to clear that content. That bit of content was the Nether Spider at the time. It was the first bit of content that actually bottlenecked my progress. It was the first bit of content that I actually struggled with and felt like I was banging my head onto a wall purely because I just didn't have the roster depth needed to complete that content. And that champion will be Wythir The Crowned. She came in as the first legendary cleanser on my account. We've always had Ugo, but Ugo only cleanses health-related things, whereas Wythir The Crowned will cleanse everything. Let's briefly run through her kit right here. Her A1 attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing a leech debuff for 1 turn, also places a 15% continuous heal buff on a random ally for 2 turns. Her A2 places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also increases the duration of all continuous heal buff on all allies by 1 turn, then instantly activates any continuous heal buffs on all allies. Her A3 is what came in clutch and why she's one of my favorite champions on my account. It's the cleanse. It removes all debuffs from all allies, then heals all allies by 30% of this champion's max HP. She also has a passive which places a 50% continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP for 1 turn at the start of each turn. She also comes with an aura, increased resistance in all battles by 50, and I've got a built-in survival instinct, and you can see she's not fully booked. However, her A2 fully booked, her A3 fully booked, and those are the 2 parts of a kit that adds the most value, so I don't think I'll ever book her A1 fully. That leech is kind of cool, but I don't think it's bookable. Let me know down in the comments below, do you guys think Wythir is worth booking through her A1 as well, or if her A2 and A3 is enough? Please let me know. She's also then fully mastered. Those are the masteries that I've used in her. And again, not necessarily a meta champ, but she came in and she was added to my account. I pulled it from an ancient shard and she came in exactly when I needed her. And that's exactly why she's made this list. Not necessarily the best at anything really, but on my account, she came in clutch when I needed a cleanser the most. And she came in with exactly that in her kit, and that is why she has made the list. Champion number 4 is a more recent champion, a champion I was very excited for, and also a champion that has cleanse within her kit, but Mithrala Lifebane was definitely worth the grind. Why she's made my list. Okay, this one could be a little bit different because I understand Mithrala is used on many people's accounts. Mithrala could be considered a meta champion, so I'm sure that she's made tons of people's lists before. Why she's made my list is not necessarily her kit, but let's go through that anyway. I've currently got her in a Molten Death Bell relic. She's fully booked as well. Her A1 Libation of Pain attacks 2 times at random. Each hit has an 80% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. Her A2 attacks all enemies, places a hex debuff for 2 turns. Also places a 60% increased defense buff and a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Her A3 removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a 25% strengthen buff and a shield buff equal to 30% of this champion's max HP on all allies for 2 turns. She also has a passive. Whenever this champion is attacked by an enemy under hex debuff, has a 50% chance of applying a petrification debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. Whenever an ally is attacked by an enemy under hex debuff, has a 30% chance of applying a petrification debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. Also increases this champion's resistance. The amount by which it is increased is equal to the amount of accuracy this champion has. She also then has an aura that increases accuracy in all battles by 80, and I've got a build currently in Brimstone. Why she made this list on my account? She's got a fantastic kit. She is a Void legendary champion. She's got everything that you would need in one of the favorite champions on your account. But for me, it was a direct representation of long-term rewards. Not often did I experience visual evidence of progress, right? As a mid-game player, there's tons of progress hidden. All you gotta do is just open your eyes. But for me, for a long time, I was blinded by a lot of things. Especially, I made a video about like comparison being the thief of joy and constantly comparing my accounts. But when I pulled Mithrala, she was a direct result of consistency, of grind, of patience. Obviously, the only place you can get frags for Mithrala is through Hydra, and Hydra is on a static rotation, so you can only get X amount of frags every single rotation, which means that it is something that you have to do consistently. It is something that you have to do over and over and over, and Mithrala being the reward for that grind is why she's made this list. Not necessarily because she's absolutely insane and the first legendary that was able to solo Bommel on my account. Currently, I'm struggling with Bommel in Hard Doom Tower, but let's not go there. But she is a visual, she's concrete evidence that the grind pays off. And that's why she's made this list. Again, as Champ 4, That's okay. No specific order. The last legendary that's going to make this list is a weird one, and many of you will probably think I'm quite silly. But hear me out. Tormin the Cold is going to be the last legendary that I really enjoy. Not because I use him in content, because I don't really use him in content. The reason why he's made my top 5 list is, first of all, he looks absolutely phenomenal. I love everything about the way he looks. His entire design is fantastic. Why he made this list as the top 5 favorite champions on my account is he comes with intrigue. He comes with mystery, especially for somebody that's early-ish mid-game like myself, who's unaware of his ability. I've learned that he's more so usable in PvP than he is in PvE. I've learned that he works very well with heal V, but there's so much about him that attracts me to wanting to use him purely because I don't know anything about him. I haven't done any proper research on Tormin. I don't know his kit. We're going to go through his kit right now, actually. His A1 attacks all enemies, has a 15% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Instantly activates the skill whenever an enemy under both a freeze and an HP burn debuff takes damage from the HP burn debuff. His A2 removes all buffs from a target, then attacks the target twice, steals all buffs instead if the target is under a freeze debuff, will ignore defense if the target is under both a freeze and an HP burn debuff. His A3 attacks all enemies, places block buffs debuff and 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns on enemies under freeze debuffs, has a 60% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn on enemies not under freeze, decreases the cooldown of 1 random skill of each ally by 1 turn for every enemy attacked under both the freeze and an HP burn debuff. Then also a passive, has a 20% chance of placing a freeze debuff on the enemy each time they receive a buff or have their turn meter full. The 20% chance applies up to twice per enemy turn, once for buffs, once for turn meter fills, in cases where an enemy receives multiple of these effects at the same time. It does not work with effects from artifact sets, turn meter filling effects from masteries, healing, or those buffs or effects that take place at the start of a round. Then an active effect revives this champion to 100% when killed and places freeze debuff on this champion for 1 turn. It also has an aura. Tormin has an aura of 33% defense in all battles. So yeah, he doesn't make this list because he's helped me through content or he carries my account or he just has been super impactful. He makes my list because of intrigue, because of mystery, and because I'm excited to build it. So that is why he's made this list on this account. Again, guys, this isn't a list of meta champions on my account. This is purely just 5 legendaries I have on my account who I enjoy, who have impacted my account, but who also provide mystery and excitement and allows me to be enthusiastic about moving forward because I'm about to build, for example, Tormin the Cold. So that is the 5 champions that I deem my favorite 5 legendary champions on my account. And even though Tormin is there because he looks cool and because of intrigue and mystery, I still think it justifies making my list. So once again, thank you so much to Raid for sponsoring this video and for providing us with our own download link that you can find in the description below. If you're looking at starting a new Raid journey right now or looking to get your friends involved or some family members or anybody in your community, feel free to use that link in the description. It directly supports me and directly supports the channel. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. It is Monday, a start of a new week. Stay fresh, vibe out as often as you can. Happiness is a choice. Kindness is free. Leave your mark, yo. Peace out.